G'day guys, Mackie with the Outer Circle. Please, Games Workshop, no more supplements. Rein in the campaigns and just fix the core game. I've had it with the never-ending supplement and campaign book train from Games Workshop. People like to keep pointing out how Games Workshop's moving in a better direction to me. They like to point out things like the recent Trade Allegiance supplement as a positive step for the company. Well, I'm sorry, but I'm not a mushroom. I don't like being kept in the dark and fed nothing but shit. But Macca, I hear people say, Legions is what you asked for in What Broke the Fans. How can you not like it? Well, little Billy, I asked for a Legion Codex, not another poor solution for a fucked up book. At this stage, we have a codex and nobody likes. The Chaos Space Marine Codex. Can we at least agree on that? Right, good. Now that's out of the way. We have what? Black Legion, we have Crimson Slaughter, we have Khorne Demon King, Trade Allegiance, all these different supplements doing their best to try and prop up this terrible codex. So, I think what I need to do here, because people aren't going to get what I'm saying, is I'm going to use an analogy. Let's pretend that Chaos Space Marine Codex is a rickety old wooden bridge spanning a river. It's falling apart, and it just plain needs to go. It's rotted, the thing creaks and groans when you use it, and I'm pretty sure several people have even fallen through it and drowned. Well, every supplement is like a builder's lazy solution. See, they come into this bridge, and they tie a few more ropes to it, they lay down a few new planks to cover up the holes, and they go, that'll do. How about you pull down the old bridge and you make a new one? I saw just today that there's a poll on Facebook asking people which faction they played. Chaos in 40k actually had the largest number, followed by Space Marines. So clearly there is a fan base out there ready to eat any new codex up. What worries me is that Games Workshop probably realised this, and they keep producing all these supplements just because they know that you'll keep returning to them like a beaten housewife to an abusive husband. Because, things will be different this time. I mean, look at all these supplements. So many different supplements. Why do we need all these supplements for things that should be in the codexes? Okay, I'm mostly focusing on Chaos here. But it's because they're the biggest offender with the most supplements, right? I mean, if you're a poor Orc player, you've got one supplement. So, enjoy that. Doesn't matter whether you like feral orcs and your snake bites, or if you like your blood axes and your tactical approach. No. You just have your white Gaskull. That's good enough. Enjoy your Gaskull. See, this slow burn supplement campaign train, however, it's going to slowly deliver campaign after campaign, focusing on only one or two factions. I need to warn you now, this is bad news for the players. But I know people are going to argue with me, so I'm going to tell you why. Back in the day, Codex Eye of Terror contained multiple new lists for several factions. The Orthway, the Space Wolves, Wolfen list, the Lost and the Damned. These were all standalone lists. They didn't need you to purchase another codex or another book to play them. They just ran exactly out of the Eye of Terror book. It only cost $15. Now, Warzone Fenris had a few new units in it and a cocaine load of formation junk. And I saw some of those going for about $150 Australian. Let's ignore the limited editions. There we go, you can get a softback Warzone Fenris for 110. So it gives you an idea of what we're talking about price-wise here. Let's play this out to the logical conclusion, shall we? Based on the volume of factions, followed by the volume of books required to cover them all at this rate. I mean, we are looking at approximately one book per two factions each, if that. So, the conclusions that I'm going to make here rely entirely on GW being consistent with their releases continuing at this rate, which I see no sign that they're not going to continue with this release rate. I'm going to introduce a simple mathematical formula here I'll call it the campaign equation, and it goes like this. It's the number of campaign books is equal to the number of factions of both parties in said books divided by 2. Let's use this equation for Chaos and Space Marines. So Chaos Space Marines and regular Space Marines each have the 9 classical chapters, or the 9 classical legions, if you will, giving a total of 9 for each, or 18 key factions. Now, dividing that factions by 2 tells us how many campaign books we should be getting for just Chaos Space Marines and Space Marines alone. The answer is, of course, 9. So, at $150 a book, and we'll call that our worst case scenario, that's $1,350 just for the Marines and the trader books. Oh no, I hear you say. Games Workshop wouldn't do that. They'll condense multiple factions into one book, surely. Well, I'll say to you that if they continue their releases at the same rate they are now, it's A, unlikely, and B, worrying that they didn't do that in the first place. Some would call all these constant releases good for the hobby, but trust me, it's not. You're talking now about multiple books with only 1 to 2 units, and just a crapload of terrible formations. Now, even formations that are overpowered as hell, it's still terrible formations, I'll add for the record, because all formations are bad formations. Now, how do you streamline something like 40k by adding more to it? That doesn't make sense to me. You see, if you're going to release new content, you don't do it in a dribble, at $150 a dribble at that. You do it like the old Eye of Terror book did. You release things in bulk. Me personally, I'd start with Warzone Fenris, actually just being a chapter in a larger book which contained all the big 4 demon Primarchs. So that's Mortarion, Fulgrim, Angron, and Magnus. One book covers all 4 gods, at a minimum. You'd create another book, which would be the Heroes of the Imperium. That's where the triumvirate of the Imperium, your Inquisition, your Assassins, your Custodes, all that sort of thing should be in that one book, right? As many factions as possible in one book. Next, I'd have a Heroes of the Astartes, which would be a book that covers chapter masters of various factions, providing unique characters for chapters with nobody unique already, and it would be a great way to flesh out existing ranges. You could add in characters for the Iron Hands, you could add in more characters for the Salamanders, more characters for the Raven Guard, actually look into those other chapters, as well as combining like Blood Angels, Space Wolves, all their characters together. Because at the end of the day, they all are one essentially large faction, and they should all be together. You release one book with everything that you need in it. The next thing you do is have a book which is the Black Crusade, and it would cover all the remaining Trader Primarchs, Abaddon himself, and all the renegades of Chaos, your mutants, your cults, that kind of thing, right? Lastly, you release a campaign which covers the Eldar and the Necrons, as well as the Orcs, logically followed by Nids and the Tau. The logic being here that you want to end with the actual greatest threats to the galaxy, the Green Tide and the Great Devourer. So they're the last ones you want to bring out. And I choose Nids and Tau to go up against one another because I think it's a great juxtaposition of technology and limited troops versus a never-ending horde of primitive beasts. This is enough supplements to fill out a substantial release schedule in my mind, with each faction devoted time and devoted their own time. They'll be placed against age-old enemies, and it's a logical approach to me. Each faction will get filled out in one book, so all of the Eldar, Dark Eldar, Harlequins, Eldar, one book. Same book as the Necrons, because the Eldar and the Necrons are time-old enemies. Some people complain to me, you see, that they don't want to get into Horus Heresy, for example, because Forge World's releasing the books at, one every year, and you 4 factions in each book, and it's going to take a while to get all the factions, and this is true. But you think about the release schedule at 1 to 2 factions per book coming out of Games Workshop. How can you say that this system of campaigns is somehow going to be better? You're just adding more bloat to an already bloated system. I don't know how people can defend this when you're looking at this release rate. Like I said, 9 releases alone just to cover Space Marines and Chaos Space Marines. You're not even looking into Eldar, different craft worlds, different types of Nid Hive fleets, different Tau Septs, you know? At the end of the day, the only people this is hurting are the players. At the end of the day, you're going to have to keep track of a lot more junk. You're going to have to memorize a lot more armies, a lot more units, and all the itty-bitty shitty formations that change every 3rd rule and confuse the fuck out of you. I'm not saying what you should and shouldn't do. I'm not telling you to buy from them or not buy from them or pirate or any of that kind of thing. I'm just asking you to be critical and look at the big picture. Where do you see your hobby long term, and are you prepared to spend thousands on books? Because that is honestly the direction that they're heading in. Anyway, this has been a little bit more ranty than some of the other recent videos, which are very on the nose, on point. But I think it stands. Look at all this bloat. Look at all these books. You know, all these digital releases and hardcover releases and limited edition releases, and every time one of these comes out, it's adding something new or adjusting something that already exists. It is just way too much going on right now when we need to dial it back. Anyway, leave me your thoughts in the comments below. I always love hearing them, and I read through every one of them. I really do, and wherever I can, I do try and reply to people, unless someone has already replied and said the same thing I'd sort of say. So, thanks very much for watching the video, guys, and I'll see you all next time.